All righty, welcome to the daily Devo for Thursday, the 9th of February today. Today's devotion is entitled, It Was a Joy. It was a joy. Quoting from Hebrews chapter 12, verse 2, For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Obviously, scriptures about Christ. There was no moral necessity upon God to redeem mankind. In other words, he did not have to do what he did. He didn't have to send his son, Jesus Christ, to die for mankind. He sent him, but at the same time, Jesus did it voluntarily. If God was willing, it was the happy willingness of God. A mother doesn't have to get up and feed her baby at 2 a.m. There's no law compelling her to do it. The law probably would compel her to take some care of the little tyke, but she doesn't have to give him that loving care that she does. She wants to do it. I used to do it for our little fellows, and I enjoyed doing it. A mother and a father do what they do because they love to do it. The incarnation, too, was not something that Jesus Christ did, gritting his teeth and saying, I hate this thing. I wish I could get out of it. One of the dear old hymn writers said, he abhorred not the virgin's womb. The writer thought about this and said, wait a minute here. The womb of the creature? How could the everlasting, eternal, infinite God, whom space cannot contain, confine himself inside one of his creatures? Wouldn't it be a humiliation? Then he smiled and said, no, he abhorred not the virgin's womb. And he wrote it, and we've been singing it for centuries. The incarnation of Jesus Christ's immortal flesh was not a heavy thing. The second person of the Trinity, the everlasting Son, the eternal Word made himself flesh joyously. When the angels sang about the incarnation, they sang joyously about it. I think this is a reality we need to really get hold of. God was not forced to. God did not have to. God was not required to do what he has done to save us, to redeem our souls, to pay for our sin, to reconcile us together. He could have stayed in heaven, closed the door, and said, you're on your own. Just like parents do with their children sometime when they've had enough. Certainly God would qualify for having enough. After all that we humans have done in ignoring him and turning our back on him and going against how he would have us to live. And yet, because he loves us, as John 3:16 says, he sent his son to die for us, to redeem us, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despised the shame, completed what his Father had sent him for. Lord God, thank you for willingly coming to earth and dying on my behalf. You are a selfless, loving God. May my life be pleasing to you, O Lord. Blessings to you today on this Thursday.